A very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of News First Weekend, coming to you live from our News First studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
The responsibility of those elected through the public mandate is to build the country, not walk on the streets. A statement from the President in Polonnaruwa. Padayatra reaches Kiribati from Nittambuwa. Former President expresses her disappointment on the closure of the Bandaranayaka Memorial.
සමාධිය හදලත් අවුරුදු 60කට පමණ කිට්ටු මෙතනට ලොකු අබැද්දයක් කරන්න යනවා කියන ඒ සැකේ සහ ආරංචිය මත අපිට සමාධිය වහන්න සිද්ධ වුණා.
The regrets of Minister Vijayamuni Soisa.
මම කෝට්ටක් කරන් කාමරයට ගිහිල්ලා සරම උස්සලා මගේ පස්සේ පැත්තට දෙකක් දාගත්තා.
Reports that China has declined debt equity transfer are false. A statement from the government.
The responsibility of politicians elected through the public mandate is rebuilding the nation, not walking on streets. Now, these were the sentiments expressed by the President. The President expressed these views while in Polonnaruwa today. The Iron White program to renovate 3,100 kilometers of rural roads commenced near the Veerapura village in Lanka administrative division in Polonnaruwa today. Under the joint road development program, a sum of 300 million rupees is being spent on the renovation of 170 kilometers of rural roads in the Polonnaruwa district.
අපි ආණ්ඩුවක් විදිහට මේ වැඩ කරගෙන යන්නේ අපිට ප්‍රශ්න රාශියක් තියෙද්දි.
As a government, we are carrying out this work amid many problems. The government is being blamed for economic hardships. There are various criticisms regarding taxes. You are aware that when we took over the government, the country was in debt to the tune of 9 trillion rupees to foreign nations. You can imagine how difficult it is even to write 9 trillion. If they were speaking of major development, major debt was concealed within that development, and we must free the people of this country from this burden. As such, in order to bring progress to the country, we must all work together. You cannot develop the country by walking on the street until you get blisters. There are ways by which to develop the country. As politicians, as the government, as political parties, we must understand what our policies are in order to develop the country. The country is widely accepted by world leaders and the United Nations because the two main political parties have come together and are taking the country forward. Some are not used to this.
මේක සමහර අයට පුරුදු නැහැ.
The much talked about Padayatra, or the protest march of the joint opposition, reached Kiribati from Nittambuwa today. The protest march was to commence from the Nittambuwa town on its fourth day. These were the scenes at the Nittambuwa town prior to the march. The Padayatra began its journey after obtaining blessings from the Mahasangha with the participation of a number of MPs of the joint opposition. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa was not in attendance at the start of today's leg of the Padayatra. Security around the Bandaranayaka Memorial in Horogolla was beefed up as it was along the path of the protest march. This footage was captured as the marchers passed the Bandaranayaka Memorial. Newsfirst cameras also captured the moment Former Minister Mahinda Narudgamage rode a motor bicycle without a helmet. MP Nama Rajapaksa addressed the media near the Bandaranayaka Memorial.
As true SLFPers, the hope of the SLFPers within the joint opposition is to create a government in the country that has the policies of the SLFP. We have to remind at this instance that we will commit to that task.
The Padayatra arrived in Kiribati on the Colombo-Kandy main road via Khadavata. This footage was captured during the journey. The protest march is due to reach Colombo tomorrow. The Bandaranaike Memorial in Horogolla was closed today following a request for police security made by former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga. Now, the former president made this request due to fears that the memorial would be pelted with stones. Now, in response, a special security detail has been in place at the memorial since last night. Now, speaking in Horogolla, the former president expressed her views on the matter. It has been nearly 60 years since the memorial was built, and for the very first time the memorial had to be closed because of Mahinda Rajapaksa and his actions. They pelted stones at this on a previous occasion as well. This was around 6 years ago. So once again, because of this march or whatever it is, we had to close it because of the suspicion, and from what we got to know, that a relative of Mahinda Rajapaksa, an MP who used to do a lot of wrong things here, and another former Pradesh Sabha member were planning to cause a lot of trouble here. This is an act of Mahinda Rajapaksa to destroy the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. This memorial was not constructed like Gotabaya Rajapaksa did to construct a monument of his father in Hambantota by spending around 100 million rupees of government funds. Bandaranaike's memorial was constructed under the leadership of Madam Bandaranaike. Now, while supporters were engaging in the Padayatra, former president was in the Anuradhapura district. Following a ceremony at a viharya in Kakirava, the former president spoke to the media.
This is a really ugly thing to do. After accepting the payment and granting approval for the ground and speakers, they cancel the booking. This is unacceptable. If they go on like this, the country will lose democracy.
Now, responding to the comment made by former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, Minister Chandima Virakodi had this to say.
Even though they say that we are not letting them book the grounds, there is no hindrance to come there. We invite them to come to the golf face as well. There will not be a hindrance to anyone. If they have the people, they can come to golf face. We will take certain decisions as the central committee of the party. Our objective is not to split the party, but to strengthen it and to make it a party with discipline.
Housing and Construction Minister Sajid Premdasa laid the foundation stone for a yet another model village being constructed in the Lunama area in Hambantota today. Now, speaking during this event, the minister posed a question to the former president.
I think the former president spent a good holiday recently and is now embarking on a protest march in order to tan his face. My dear friends, you may have heard this tale.
අහලා ඇති පාණ්ඩු කම්බල සෛලාසනේ තමන්ගේ පුරවැසියන්ට අසහනයක් නිර්මාණය වෙනකොට සක්‍රදේවේන්ද්‍රයාගේ පාණ්ඩු කම්බල සෛලාසනේ රත් වෙනවා. දැන් ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ මිත්‍රවරුනේ.
Mahinda Rajapaksa is feeling this heat now that he is in opposition. I ask him why he is dancing on falsehoods. You were president of the country for 10 to 11 years. When the people lamented, you sent the security forces to suppress and threaten them. Having done that, how can you now go on vagabond marches and claim that you are the one to build the nation, that you are the one who protects the nation, and that you are the one who serves the people?
මමයි රට හදන්නේ, මමයි රට රකින්නේ, මමයි ජනතාවට සේවය කරන්නේ කියලා.
3 people, including the president of the SLFP Workers' Union of Airports and Aviation Services Limited, M. Varnasiri Mohandiram, have been remanded until tomorrow over using 2 state vehicles for the Padayatra. The trio were remanded on the orders of the Warkapala magistrate.
An event had been organised yesterday to pay tribute to former Minister Dharmasiri Senanayake. A group of members of the Sri Lanka Nidahas Sevaka Sangamaya at Airports and Aviation Services Limited had obtained 2 state-owned vehicles from the corporation, claiming to be organisers of the event. However, it later came to light that the event had been held to coincide with the joint opposition's Padayatra and that the 2 vehicles had been used for MPs from the joint opposition to garland a statue of the late Minister Dharmasiri Senanayake. As a result, the police last night arrested the president of the SLFP Union and Airports and Aviation Services Limited, M. Varnasiri Mohandiram, and 2 drivers for the offence of misusing public property. The suspects were produced before court today and remanded, while the case will be taken up again tomorrow.
While the joint opposition is engaging in the protest march, several ruling party politicians had this to say with regard to the Padayatra.
The Padayatra has turned out to be a leisure walk. On this walk to form a government led by Mahinda Rajapaksa, on one hand we can see monkey dancers. We can see the son dancing and spinning around. He jumps up and down and beats drums. So we do not see this as a serious march organized to change a government. It is evident that they are not serious about it. Mahinda Rajapaksa's gem of a son, Namal, is taking this walk very lightly and leisurely. He is singing and dancing on this walk. When these princes go to court from time to time, the people are well aware of what they have done and their foreign transactions. Those who are asking for a return of a Rajapaksa era and who are asking for the same people to return are in fact asking for a repeat of the things that were done to Tajuddin, Lasantha Vikramatunga, Poddala Jayantha and Lakmal. Is that what they are asking for while engaging in this so-called protest march? On one hand, our debt burden is 9 trillion. We need a program to strengthen the country over the next 5 years. It was on this basis that the national government concept was introduced. This does not harm individual parties in any way. The SLFP must function as the SLFP. But now they are attempting to bring about various divisions. I wish to say this clearly. Last week, Kumara Valgama said that they would contest separately and that we would fall to 3rd or 4th place. I wish to note that we are not hoping to contest separately.
Minister Vijit Vijayamanidi Soisa continued with his criticism of the Padayatra today as well.
My friends, they are marching in procession remembering the taste of blood on the bones they licked dry. They are marching behind the scent and taste of that blood. They are not doing this to bring progress to the country. We will be defeated if we split. Pradesh Sabha chairman are saying we must contest separately. Take Silva, who came from the police. I am the one who brought him in. I should be beaten up for doing this. In truth, my friends, for the wrongs I have done, I should take a cane to my bedroom, lift up my sarong and beat myself. Since I cannot punish anyone else for it, I am punishing myself.
Us city dwellers are only too familiar with the frustration brought on by being stranded on the road. But spare a thought for the thousands of our fellow countrymen who walk for miles to reach their destination due to the lack of a road. Have you ever experienced the feeling of losing a livelihood you have worked for your entire life in a single night because of wild elephants? Are you aware that for many of our countrymen, this is the hopeless reality of day-to-day life?
Day 12. The garbage pit is very troublesome. Because of the garbage disposed here, there are elephants on both sides of the road.
For over 2 years, residents of the 9th Mile Post area in Suryapura Kantale have spent their nights fearing for their lives with every passing minute. The wild elephants that destroy their crops one day would destroy their houses and property the next. This is the elephant fence that was built for their protection.
It will be better if you strengthen the fence and reconstruct it.
We are ready to solve this issue, which puts the lives of over 300 villagers at risk, but we need your support. For a visiting city dweller, travelling on this dilapidated road to the village of Warala in Yalkumbura Bibile may be a quaint experience. But imagine using this road every day to fulfill your daily needs. This is the reality of life for about 60 families in the village. Children travelling to school, expectant mothers and even patients seeking emergency medical treatment must traverse this road. When rains come in September, the road becomes a waterway. The renovation of this road is one of the goals of the Newsfirst Gum at the 100 Days program.
We have not received any help from the government. They come to us only when they want votes.
All we're asking for is that they build this road with the drainage system on this side. You will be blessed if you do this for us.
Many projects launched by the Gum at the 100 Days initiative, which was launched together with the people to provide relief to many who are affected by various difficulties, are currently underway. The Boralagama water scheme in Valigama Matara is one such project. Meanwhile, construction of the Damanayaya road in Sigirimulla has been completed and it will be declared open under the Gum at the 100 Days initiative this week.
How would you and your family sleep tonight if you knew that elephants might attack your home at any moment? What would you do if you had no option but to drink contaminated water just to quench your thirst, with the full knowledge that the very water that is quenching your thirst is also killing you slowly? How would you feel if your son or daughter had to walk 10 kilometers and cross a dangerous makeshift bridge every single day just to get to school? This is every day for many Sri Lankans. We can change this together. Please like the Newsfirst Facebook page for information on how you can help, or just call us on 0114 896 896. The Gum at the 100-Day Initiative, changing Sri Lanka one day at a time.
On Primetime News last night, we discussed our massive per capita debt burden of 500,000 rupees. Now, we sought answers on how major infrastructure projects have contributed to the debt burden. Sri Lankan Airlines, the national carrier, is another institution in dire financial straits which is contributing to the debt burden. Amid the clamour for reform, what fate awaits the national airline?
With a fleet of 21 aircraft, Sri Lankan Airlines has a cadre of 6,800, including foreign expatriates. At present, the government owns 94.68% of shares in Sri Lankan Airlines, while the balance 5.32% is owned by the employees. A glance at the airline's annual reports for the past several years indicates the pattern of losses. The current government has adopted the stance that given the state of the corporation's finances, it is no longer viable for Sri Lankan Airlines to continue to function as a public enterprise. Nevertheless, close scrutiny of data and statistics shows that the losses have been gradually declining.
Financially, we are not prepared to invest more money. We are thinking of a company which can invest their money and handle the management of the airline. It is still open. In the past, the Emirates company was given a 45% share. We have not reached a final decision yet. We are hoping to maintain a majority share for the government, but it is not a necessity. Whether the government retains the majority share or not, we are not hoping to retain management of the airline.
In spite of the views expressed by the subject minister, the 2016 Mid-Year Fiscal Position Report published by the Ministry of Finance on the 30th of June states that the government had decided to take over all liabilities of Sri Lankan Airlines as at the 31st of March 2015. The report reads further that the government had decided to source a suitable partner for the successful management of the business operations on the basis of a clean balance sheet. While the government is seeking an investor for Sri Lankan Airlines, agreements have been signed to give 3 aircraft to Pakistan. 3 A330 aircraft and the necessary crew will be given to Pakistan International Airlines under a wet lease.
The previous government struck contracts to bring down new A350-900 aircraft. These aircraft have been purchased at an exorbitant price, 30% over the market price. These aircraft can fly non-stop for 17 hours, but Sri Lankan doesn't service any destinations that are 17 hours away. So it is at once evident that these were corrupt transactions. Since these contracts have already been agreed to, we are bound to fulfill them. As a result of bringing in the new aircraft, we are leasing out the older aircraft to other airlines.
A spokesperson for Pakistan International Airlines had informed foreign media that the 3 A330s will be used primarily for a premier service to London's Heathrow Airport, operating 6 times a week. While Pakistan is using aircraft from Sri Lankan Airlines to expand their flights to Europe, Sri Lankan Airlines has in fact decided to cease services to Europe. Direct flights to Paris, Rome and Frankfurt have been seized. Incidentally, all 3 airports had granted favourable time frames and space for Sri Lankan Airlines flights.
Foreign airlines show a great level of enthusiasm for Sri Lankan Airlines because of services to Europe and Japan and our traffic rights. They have a singular purpose to claim these services for their own. Through investment aimed at privatization, we are depriving the nation of an income that can be earned through these valuable air transport services.
It was also reported recently that ground services provided by Sri Lankan Airlines have been taken over by Airports and Aviation Limited. Trade unions allege that Sri Lankan Airlines will lose revenue amounting to 8 billion rupees per annum as a result. Against a backdrop where the fleet has been reduced to 18 aircraft and several services have been curtailed, the government published newspaper advertisements recently inviting new investors.
First, we must adopt a stance regarding how we are going to source this. Rather than focus on how the partner will take it, as a government and as a country, we must focus on the conditions we will be giving it under. If we are going to arbitrarily give away airlines, then it will amount to neglect of national responsibilities. Decisions that are being made about the airline are contradictory. While the Paris, Rome and Frankfurt flights have been cancelled, the profitable Airport and Aviation Services Limited will be given to another company. We see this as an endeavour to shut down the airline. Sri Lanka does not own many airlines. We have only one airline. It is not competitive. It is under the government. For a while it was operated in partnership with Emirates. When the government took over, it was 4 billion in profit. 5 years after the government took over, it was valued at negative 102.816 billion. When the government took over, the asset base was valued at 15.536 billion. Now there is a negative value of 74.106 billion. Now the government minister is saying that if there is anyone willing to buy it, they will give it away even for 1 rupee, aircraft included. But there is no one who wants it even for 1 rupee. Why? Because it has a negative value. The asset base is in minus. Tomorrow the government will call someone and ask them to please take over the airline.
The government has lashed out against a report in the Sunday Times that China had declined an offer for a debt equity transfer on Chinese loans for several projects including the Matale Airport and the Hambantota Port.
The Sunday Times reported today that China has declined Sri Lanka's request to convert into equity Beijing-funded projects including the Matale Airport and the Hambantota Port. The newspaper reported that China's ambassador Yi Shan-lang had told Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe that it was not possible under China's laws and that it should be done through investors on commercial terms. It was further reported that the request had been made at a recent meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Economic Management, which was attended by the Chinese ambassador. However, issuing a press release this morning, the Department of Government Information disputed the report, claiming that the debt equity transfer on Chinese loans would be implemented in accordance with the discussions the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka held in Beijing with the President and Prime Minister of China in April this year. The statement issued by Director of Information A. Hilmi Mohammed reads that in accordance with the discussion, in the first instance, the Chinese government will promote Chinese firms interested in entering into private-public partnership with the Sri Lankan government in regard to specified projects. Furthermore, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Management had instructed Minister Malik Samarawikrama to discuss the required modalities with the Chinese ambassador and report back to the CCEM. The press release states that these discussions have been finalized and the report is to be submitted.
A healthy nation is of utmost importance to the development of the country. On National Development News today, we take a look at a program that is in place to ensure a healthy nation.
The number of deaths annually as a result of chronic kidney disease exceeds 2,000. According to data obtained from the Ministry of Health, the number of patients who receive medication for kidney passivity is over 20,000. The disease that spreads as a result of a number of broad factors was initially identified in the North Central province and has now spread to 11 districts. The presence of arsenic and cadmium in the body in higher than normal amounts, malnutrition, lack of water, dehydration owing to heat, alcohol and tobacco consumption have been identified as a few of the causes for the disease. Incidentally, many of the areas that have been plagued by kidney disease are agriculture hubs. Having identified this as a burning issue in the country, the President has launched a national program to seek a solution to the problem. Among the primary goals of the program are the prevention of kidney disease and ensuring the welfare of patients and their families. At-risk areas will also be provided with clean drinking water under this program.
2014 අගභාවයේදී අතිග ජනාධිපතිතුමා තමන්ගේ පෞද්ගලික අරමුදලින් ආරම්භ කරන ලද වක්කඩු අරමුද
We have been able to bring the kidney fund that was started with the private funds of the President in the last quarter of 2014 to 425 million rupees with the support of the public. We hope to carry out two tasks with these finances. We hope to provide scholarships to students who are studying for the advanced levels from families with members suffering from the kidney disease. We have provided more than 200 scholarships in those areas. In addition, we will use this fund to construct 2 restrooms for the kidney patients to rest at in the Anuradhapura and Kandy hospitals.
අපි ඉදිරියේදී මේ අරමුදල පාවිච්චි කරලා මහනුවර සහ අනුරාධපුර ජාතික රෝහල් වල වක්කඩු රෝගීන් විවේක ගැනීම සඳහා අපි විශ්‍රාම ශාලා දෙකක් ඉදි කරන්න කටයුතු කරනවා.
Moving on to news overseas, the Indian government has decided to evacuate a large number of Indian workers facing an uncertain future in Saudi Arabia following widespread layoffs.
According to the Hindu website, India is arranging exit visas for jobless citizens, and Minister of State for External Affairs V.K. Singh will travel to Saudi Arabia to lead the evacuation efforts. The airlift operation is likely to take place in the next few days. The Hindu reports that the decision to evacuate Indian workers comes a day after the Embassy of India in Riyadh and Consulate in Jeddah began arranging food through community support for the workers who had been living in inhumane conditions in labour camps after losing jobs in the slump-hit Saudi economy.
And in sports news, the Torch of Hope rally organised to muster support for the Sri Lankan sportsmen and women who will be competing at the 2016 Olympics reached Matara today.
Day 18 of the Torch of Hope rally commenced in Tangol. The fisheries community extended a warm welcome to the rally as it reached Gandhara. The fisheries community carried the Torch of Hope to Dondra Head by sea. Several athletes and residents of Dondra Head gathered to welcome the Torch of Hope rally at its first stop for the day. Finally, the Torch of Hope reached the Mathura town, the end point of today's leg of its island-wide journey. The Torch of Hope was welcomed at an event held at the Uyanwatta Stadium, parallel to the All-Island Schools netball tournament. The Torch of Hope rally will leave Mathura tomorrow and travel to Gaul via Valigama.
Sri Lanka's Under-20 Rugby Sevens team emerged champions of the Malaysia leg of the Asian Under-20 Rugby Sevens tournament today.
The Under-20 Tuskers faced off against the powerful South Korean outfit in the final of the Malaysia leg of the Asian Under-20 Rugby Sevens tournament today. The young Tuskers ran circles around the opposition and by lemons were in a commanding position at 21-0. By the final whistle, the lads from Sri Lanka had added another 13 points to win 34-0. The second and final leg of the Asian Under-20 Rugby Sevens tournament will work off in Hong Kong on the 12th of August.
American Luke Aikins has become the first person to jump from 25,000 feet without a parachute, landing safely in a net. Now, during the 2-minute fall aired live on television, the 42-year-old reached the speed of 193 kilometers per hour. We leave you tonight with footage of this daredevil stunt. Good night.